and welcome to the Federal. Himachal Pradesh Assembly elections are taking place on November 12th. Himachal is a small state with just 68 assembly seats. The state is also highly diverse with several language and several dialects spoken within its borders. History has taught that the state elections are not easy to predict in this state. A few thousand or even few hundred votes could actually make a difference for the bigger parties. To talk about various aspects of this election, I have my colleague and a senior political journalist, Puneet Nicholas Yadav, with me. Puneet, thank you for joining. Ever since
Thank you.
Thank you. Ever since Himachal got its statehood in 1971, an incumbent government has been voted back to power only once, and which was back in 1985. So, will this trend actually continue in this election also?
Um, See, as you point out, yes, there has been a trend of incumbent governments being voted out, with the exception of 1985, which again was more of an aberration because the tenure of that assembly was supposed to end in 1987. But Veerbhadra Singh, who was the chief minister back then from the Congress party, decided to advance the elections by a good 2 years, hoping that the party will buck that trend of an incumbent government being voted out. Because in 1984 there had been Indira Gandhi's assassination. The Congress had come back with a massive, unprecedented majority in the Lok Sabha. So it was generally, I think, Veerbhadra felt that the Congress will still remain that buoyant. And that kind of paid off. They came back to power in 85 after having won the previous election also in 82. Uh, but from 85 onwards till now, that trend has again continued. Veerbhadra tried to do the same thing again in 1990, where he advanced the elections by about 10 or 11 odd months, but it didn't really help and the Congress was voted out. And it's not just about the incumbent government being voted out every alternate elections, but it it kind of loses by a landslide most of the time. So that has been the trend. Now, whether that trend continues in this election or not is difficult to say. Although at the moment it looks like, and we're just about less than 10 days away from polling, but it looks like the BJP is on a sticky wicket in Himachal. But then these traditional conventional this wisdom of incumbent government not being voted back to power. This is not unique to Himachal. It's been the case with several states, but over the last 8 years, we've seen this trend being broken repeatedly. We just saw that happen in Uttar Pradesh just like earlier this year. Same thing in Uttarakhand earlier this year. So these trends do break. But as I said, the BJP at the moment looks like it's in a very sticky position in Himachal. The Congress seems to, despite having started off a few months back on a very kind of on a shaky ground, has managed to stabilize its campaign, bring in a more cohesive campaign. So that seems to be the situation as of now. Of course, a lot of things would matter closer to the elections. The last couple of days matter a lot in these elections. Plus, as you pointed out, this is a state where the constituencies are very, very small in terms of the number of voters. So even a difference of a few hundred votes can kind of swing the election either way. So plus the halfway mark is just 35. So that again, it's a little difficult to say whether it's a very, especially in a tightly contested election. So let's see. But as of now, it looks like the BJP is on the sticky wicket.
Okay, so let's now talk about the issues that are likely to have an effect in this year's elections. The ruling BJP actually has been praising its development work in the state over the past 5 years, and Congress, on the other hand, is actually banking on the state's history of anti-incumbency to return to power after a gap of just 5 years. So, Puneet, what are the issues that are actually shaping the narrative for the upcoming elections?
See, there are a number of issues also because Himachal, although, as you said, it's a tiny state, but then there is a lot of diversity with regard to economic activity, with regard to the kind of the upper Himachal, lower Himachal, the difference of like the popular political opinion in the two parts of the state, the narrative in both these regions. Plus, there are in some areas there are caste factors and all that. So there are a whole lot of other factors that come into play. But broadly speaking, there are a few issues which run almost uniformly across Himachal. The first at the moment seems to be unemployment. The other major issue that has crept up is of it, of the government services, government servants, and the sarkari karmcharis, where they want the old pension scheme to be brought back, and the new national pension scheme, which has a whole lot of controversies around it. But going into the details, I wouldn't want to. But there is a general sense that the old pension scheme, which gives them more money, more security in terms of the financials, uh, should be brought back, which the BJP has been opposing. Then you have the issue of, see, Himachal is a state which has a very robust apple economy because fruits, particularly the apples, come from Himachal. A bulk of them come from Himachal. There is a whole industry associated with apple cultivation. So that has a major electoral role to play also. And the apple farmers in Himachal have been complaining against the BJP's policies with regard to horticulture, with regard to farming, for several months now. These are broadly the issues that one sees. Also, another important factor, particularly in lower Himachal, is Himachal also sends, although not maybe at par with Punjab or Haryana or some of the other states, but it does send a sizable chunk of people to the armed forces. And the Agnipath scheme that the government brought in, which triggered nationwide protests, has also caused a lot of unrest in certain pockets of Himachal, where the youth who were thinking of the army as an employment opportunity are completely devastated by this scheme. And so as I said, in a nutshell, these are broadly the issues, and they don't look good for the BJP because most of them, by virtue of the BJP being in government in Himachal with a stunning majority that they had won in the last elections, plus the BJP being in power at the center, play out very poorly for the BJP.
Puneet, the BJP appears to be facing a major rebel problems also, even in JP Nadda's home turf of Bilaspur. So, how much of a concern is this for BJP?
It is a major problem. See, there are 68 assembly seats in Himachal. On almost 20 seats, the official BJP candidate is up against not just a candidate from the Aam Aadmi Party or the Congress, but also a rebel from their own ranks, which, loosely means that on every third seat in the state, the BJP is up against a rebel from its own, rank and file. So, and these are not rebels who are pushovers or lightweights in their own constituencies. Because the other thing that one needs to bear in mind with regard to Himachal or any other state where the number of voters is small, the electorate is small, is that the candidate contesting an election is largely known to a huge chunk of the voters. It's not like, bigger states like Tamil Nadu or Madhya Pradesh or UP or, Maharashtra, where you have constituencies of 10 lakh people. Here in Himachal, on an average, a constituency has just about 75,000 voters. So an MLA or an MLA aspirant is known to at least, personally known to at least 25,000 odd people. Now, when you have a rebel who has his own political base, step in to the arena, he brings with him not just a dedicated vote bank of the party that he is associated with, but also his own personal vote bank. And considering that the margins in Himachal are 2,000, 100 to 2,000, 3,000, or like that narrow, that personal vote bank of a rebel candidate can swing the election. So there are, as I said, around 20 rebels. The Congress also has a rebel problem, but it's much smaller than the BJP's. The Congress, I believe, has 7 or 8 rebels, against the official candidate. There were more, but most of them withdrew their, nominations after having a consultation with Priyanka Gandhi and the other Congress leaders. So for the BJP, that has become a major crisis in the election.
Now that you touched upon the Congress topic, so let's actually continue to talk about Congress. Congress seems to be on a strong, footing, but its tallest leader in the state, who was also the former chief minister, Veerbhadra Singh, is no more. So the party has no CM face, and there have been reports of infighting also. The party's claims of imminent victory, are they pure rhetoric?
See, there are a couple of ways in which you have to look at the Congress's campaign. One, yes, Veerbhadra Singh, who's popularly called as Raja across Himachal because he belonged to the Rampur Bushahar royal family, was a 6-term chief minister, multiple terms, MLA, MP, union minister, widely respected across Himachal. He was the tallest leader of the Congress party, so much so that, every time the Congress itself wanted to sideline Veerbhadra and promote someone else, he managed to have his say and, remain the party's face. He had faced challenges internally from the Congress while he was around, from equally senior, equally popular leaders like Vidya Stokes, who was an MLA for 8 terms, came from the apple growing community. You had Pandit Sukram, who again came from Mandi, had his own base, had never lost an election. But despite these challenges, Veerbhadra Singh remained the face of the Congress in Himachal. Now, this is the first election that you're seeing without Veerbhadra Singh. His widow, Pratibha Singh, who's a 3-term MP who managed to win a by-election just last year in November from Mandi and is now a Lok Sabha MP again, is the party's state unit chief. Veerbhadra's son, Vikramaditya, is a sitting MLA. He's contesting again from the Shimla rural constituency on a Congress ticket. So the Congress is, of course, banking on that sympathy for Veerbhadra Singh, with Pratibha Singh in leading the campaign as the party's state unit chief, although she's not the CM face. Now, the problem with the CM face is because, one, as long as Veerbhadra was around, there was never, a parallel leader who could grow to that stature in the Congress. So the Congress and because the Congress couldn't cut Veerbhadra Singh to size, it's facing that drawback now, after his demise, where it does not have a leader who can be projected across the state. Vidya Stokes is 94 years old. She's out of electoral politics. Pandit Sukram died earlier this year. So the others who are left in the arena are all people who have very small pockets of influence, none of them who have an appeal across the state, including perhaps Pratibha Singh. So that is an obvious negative for the Congress. But the other thing is there is very strong anti-incumbency that the Congress is banking on. There are some promises that the Congress is making, which because of the anti-incumbency, the Congress thinks will strike a chord with the voter. And so yes, I mean, they don't have a CM face. They don't have Veerbhadra Singh. But they seem to think that they are still in a winning position because of largely because of the public anger against the BJP.
Okay, Puneet, for my last question, I'd like to talk about AAP. Arvind Kejriwal held a roadshow in the state very recently, and he was accompanied by the Punjab Chief Minister also. So, there Kejriwal said people of Himachal Pradesh had no option until now, but now the Aam Aadmi Party has emerged as an honest option. So, the AAP has actually pitted itself as an alternative to both BJP and Congress in Himachal. Can AAP really have an impact in this election, in this Himachal Pradesh elections?
Nisha, the thing is with the AAP, it's rather funny and sad because yes, there is definitely you know neither the BJP nor the Congress, the two dominant parties in Himachal. It's a bipolar state. And there has been an attempt earlier by Pandit Sukhram to, form a third alternative when he floated I think it was called the Himachal Vikas Manch or Vikas Party or something. But no party has been able to break this bipolar Congress versus BJP system in Himachal so far in the last 50 odd years. The
Uh,
AAP showed that promise because Punjab, which borders Himachal and has similarities, socio-cultural similarities with Himachal, had elected an Aam Aadmi Party government by an unprecedented landslide victory just earlier this year. And there are several constituencies of Himachal which border directly, share a border with Punjab. So there was a general sense that there will be some kind of of an osmosis of that electoral buoyancy. And initially, after the Punjab results, for the first month or 2 months, it did seem like the AAP is making inroads because Kejriwal's road shows were very well received. There was generally a sense that the people are quite fed up of the Congress and the BJP because both parties have, cyclically been in power, but it hasn't really helped Himachal to the extent that it should have. So there was that sense that the Aam Aadmi Party, because of the Delhi education model, the Delhi model of government, the victory in Punjab, will make significant inroads in Himachal. But then I think 2 months down the line, the something snapped within the Aam Aadmi Party, to be frank, and they decided to, in a way, just give up Himachal on a platter to the Congress or the BJP and focus only on Gujarat. Uh, Post that, you saw most of the Aam Aadmi Party's leaders, including their state unit chief, defecting to the BJP. Now, today, with 10 days left for polling, the Aam Aadmi Party does not have any popular face in its campaign. They're only banking on Kejriwal. Which may have worked, else at some other point in time. But right now, given that there is a visible groundswell in favor of the Congress, it is unlikely to have an impact. They and as I said, these are small constituencies. People know who they're voting for. People know their candidates. But the candidates fielded by the Aam Aadmi Party, they fielded candidates on all 68 seats, are not known even in their own areas. So, this thing of just voting because Kejriwal is there, because the Aam Aadmi Party has a certain image, I don't think is going to happen. Whoever I've spoken to in Himachal, recently, have said that the party will have no impact at all. No one's even said that it will eat into votes and damage the Congress. The general sense seems to be that it is not a factor in the election.
Thank you, Puneet. Viewers, to conclude, Himachal election is not an easy election mainly because in the end, the battle may come down to local factors in each of the 68 seats. Stay tuned with the Federal for more such election related updates.